Bird Box and A Quiet Place. One movie I really liked. The other one, unfortunately not as much as I wanted to. It's a fucking shit show! What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. Mood and atmosphere. No, it's fucking garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. It's really late as of shooting this video. It's 2:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on this 11th of January 2019. I just came from the home theater into the home studio, and I just finished watching two movies back to back. Now, before I talk about those two movies, I want to preface this video by saying to those of you who may be new to my channel, I don't do formal movie reviews on this channel. I never have. That's not what this channel really is all about. I'm more of a commentating type of channel, right? But every now and then, if I want to talk about a movie that I've just seen because it hits me a certain way for whatever reason, I'll talk about it. But it's more in that candid kind of Dave McRae kind of way. You know what I mean? So it's not a formal movie review. So if you're looking for like a real movie review of these two films, this probably isn't it. So I just want to say that for those of you who are not new, well, you guys already know that. Anyway, okay, so yes, I just finished watching A Quiet Place and Bird Box. I'm a little late to the party when it comes to A Quiet Place. I was really looking forward to watching A Quiet Place because it's arguably one of the highest critically acclaimed movies of 2018, and it's a horror movie. So anytime a horror movie gets that kind of buzz and that kind of acclaim, I gotta check it out. Sadly, I'm late to the party. And I also watched Bird Box with Sandra Bullock, which is a Netflix original, which has been sort of all the buzz in the horror community lately over the last couple of weeks. And so I wanted to check that out as well. It hasn't received quite the buzz that A Quiet Place got, but in its own right, it's getting fairly positive reviews from most people, I think. So I wanted to check it out. So the first movie I watched was A Quiet Place, and I was really excited. I sat down on my couch with my cat and munchies, and we turned on the movie, and oh, guys, I gotta say, man, I'm not crazy on it. I didn't hate the movie. I mean, hate's a strong word. It's not like Halloween 5 here, right? But I didn't like it as much as I wanted to, and as much as I thought I was going to. This is my opinion, of course, but I gotta say, I just didn't buy what these characters were selling. And what I mean by that is, the one thing that bothered me the most in this movie, I mean, it looks good. The atmosphere is great. The cinematography is great. The performances are solid. The creature is cool. But at the end of the day, it was the decisions that these characters would make that I just was not buying. They're either extremely lazy, extremely stupid, or extremely incompetent, or all three. And it's not to say that it was like that in every single moment, but there were just decisions where I was like, why are you doing? I did not buy it. If this was actually happening, I don't buy it. Now, I'll just give you a couple of examples, because I can't remember all of them, but I'll give you a few examples. Like at the very beginning of the movie, when you have your little boy who's 4 years old at the back of the line. Why would he be at the back of the line? If this was actually happening, all of your children would be in front of you so you can keep an eye on them. Yes, the parents would be leading the way, but it's like when you go out with your kid on your bike, right? Or you go out with, your little boy or girl on their bike with their training wheels. You don't have them behind you and you're walking ahead and not keeping an eye on them. No, they're in front of you. They're in front of you, of course, right? So that just didn't make any sense to me. But I mean, it did, because they had to have that to set up the scene, to have this dramatic moment where he's running for his child. And it's like, yeah, well, if your fucking kid was in front of you, you could have got to that little fucking shuttle faster. Anyway, so I was like, it's a cool scene. It's really cool. It's great. But it's like, well, that was dumb. Being pregnant. As soon as I saw that Emily Blunt was pregnant, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And I know you could, I know you can say, well, they don't have condoms, or, maybe it was an accident, or, if this was actually happening, you don't fuck. Period. If you want to mess around and fool around, stick to oral for a while. Okay? Because, or if you want to fuck, pull out. I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, not that accidents don't happen. I get it. But I just didn't buy it. I'm like, and at first I thought, oh, well, because it's an apocalyptic type of film, clearly there are other people out there. You can see them lighting up fires in the distance. It's not like they're the only people left on the planet. But I just was like, really? Like, you're pregnant? I'm thinking, and so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is going to go somewhere. Like there's a reason she's having this child. They've got this real heavy duty thing that they've been working on for a long time. No. I mean, they tried to make something and prepare for this moment, but come on. That was the quietest baby of all time. Do you know what I mean? So I just didn't buy that. I'm just like, really? Do you remember when Emily Blunt's character was, she had already had the baby, and the baby was in that, compartment thing or whatever, and she's lying there and she's fallen asleep, and her husband's off out looking for the kids, and there's that water that's pouring down. Listen to the sound of that water. So much water has poured into that basement area that it's basically knee deep everywhere, and she's just waking up to this now. I didn't buy it. I didn't buy that she would not have heard that long before it got to that point. I didn't buy it. I'm sorry, that was loud. That wasn't, dripping. That was gushing water. That was, it would have woken you up. It would have woken you up long before it got to the point where you step in it and it's like up to your thighs, for Christ's sakes. You can write in the comment section all of the things you think maybe was going on to justify for yourself as why it didn't bother you. That's fine. But I can just as easily tear that apart and say they're fucking incompetent and they shouldn't have been having sex. You could just say that. So, I just wasn't buying what they were selling. Now, one of the moments that I did really like in the movie was in the middle of the movie when the father and the boy go off and Emily Blunt's character is at home, and there's that whole tension between, her water breaks, and now she's, oh my God, she's going to have the kid, and she's got to figure out what the hell I'm going to do, and she turns the lights all red, and the father comes back. Like, that whole moment was great. I was really enjoying that. The music was great. The suspense was great. The tension was great. I finally woke up. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. And then it kind of fell flat again. And there are other decisions that just minor things that they would do, or things they would, like when Emily Blunt is walking up the stairs and she catches that bag and she falls, and then she pulls it and she keeps going. She doesn't even look to see what it was that caught, the bag caught on. She doesn't even look to see. If this was actually happening, you wouldn't be pulling, you would calm down, you would reach down, you would look, and then you would slowly take the bag off, because any bit of fucking noise could set anything off. You wouldn't be pulling, Jesus Christ. And what? No, you wouldn't do that. It felt like the characters were making incompetent and lazy decisions to justify, shit going down. Well, we have to have them make mistakes and be incompetent, or we wouldn't have the creatures. And it's like, no, you don't have that. That's lazy writing. If that's what you're thinking. I'm not saying that that's what they were. But I'm saying, no, there's other ways that you could have done it. Now, in regards to the creature, he's cool. Okay, cool creature. But at the end of the day, I don't understand why the visual effects departments do not try to come up with something more original, something that doesn't look similar to the 8,000 other types of demon things we've seen. This creature could fit right in Stranger Things, in Cloverfield, in Alien, there's so many sci-fi creature type stuff that it's like, I've seen this before. I've seen it before. It's not that it's not cool. It's very cool. And I like the angle of the ear and the loudness, and it's really cool. The sound design in this movie was great. But of course it's going to be great. That's the whole point of the fucking movie. But when I saw the creature, I'm like, yeah, I've seen this kind of thing before. It's cool. Doesn't mean it's not cool. I'm not saying it's not cool. I just said I've seen it before, and I just was hoping maybe for something a little more imaginative. But nonetheless, so that's kind of how I don't hate the movie, but I didn't like it nearly as much as I wanted to. I found that it had some cool moments, but it fell kind of flat for me, which is really surprising. I thought for sure I was really going to like it, but I just wasn't buying what they were selling, unfortunately. Now, Bird Box, on the other hand, I really liked. I really liked Bird Box. Bird Box is the kind of movie that when I was watching it, it kind of in the beginning, especially when shit started to go down and they were all sort of, huddled in that house, and John Malkovich he's so great. He's so great. I miss that guy. I wish he'd be in more films. He's so believable in every role he does. It kind of played out like those early 90s made-for-TV Stephen King movies. Do you guys remember those? One of my favorites was from about, 94 or 95, called The Langoliers. And it was in 2 parts. It's probably like a 4-hour film if you were to watch it all at once. But there were a lot of Stephen King movies coming, out in and around that time. And for me, it kind of had that vibe to it. I love, the group huddled in the house with shit going on outside and they got to figure out what to do. I didn't know how to feel about it at first, like the first 10, 15 minutes, and then I found myself really getting into it. And there's some genuinely creepy moments in that movie. Like when that guy shows up, and he's got those eyes, he starts tearing shit off the windows. And I really like the effect they used for when you would take the blindfold off and you would see whatever it is. I really like the subtlety that the effect they used in the eyes. It was genuinely creepy. When Sandra Bullock is in the car with was it her sister or was it just a friend? I can't remember. But anyway, she's with her friend, let's say, and they're driving, and then the friend's like, "What's that? I actually got goosebumps because it's just the look on her face. It came out of nowhere to me, and it was genuinely creepy. And of course, that's when the whole, apocalyptic thing began to happen out on the street, and they get into the accident, the SUV goes over like this and crashes onto the ground. I'm like, fuck, there goes Sandra Bullock's baby, but luckily it survived. And her sister or her friend, God, I forget who it was. She gets out of, she crawls out, she stands up, she steps in front of that bus. It's like, oh shit! You see the blood splatter? It was like I was playing GTA 5 or something. It was really cool, but it didn't have that big Hollywood blockbuster sheen or shine or polish to it. It still had that sort of nice, smaller charm, and because of that, there was this claustrophobic sort of feel to the environment, and it felt genuine, almost like this was really happening. So I really kind of like that, and certainly when we're dealing with all of them at the house, like I said, there was this Stephen King-y kind of vibe to the whole thing, which was nice, really cool. And then when they went over to the grocery store to get supplies and food, that kind of felt like The Mist from 2007 when they went next door to get supplies and food, but they had to be careful because there's creatures out in the mist, you know what I mean? And they had to be careful, they'd put their blindfolds on because there's shit out there. It kind of, and I'm a big fan of The Mist, by the way. There's certain things about it I don't like, but if you haven't checked out 2007's The Mist, directed by Frank Darabont, the same guy that did The Green Mile and The Shawshank Redemption, two arguably one of the greatest Stephen King adaptations of all time, I highly recommend checking out The Mist. It's a solid adaptation with a fantastic ending, in my opinion. I felt that this movie kind of had a bit of that. More so when we're dealing with the shit going down at the house, not so much when we deal with the stuff that happens on the boat with Sandra Bullock and the kids. But speaking of the kids, oh my God, they were great. Now, granted, they weren't given too much to do, so I don't know how good of actors they are or aren't, but I totally bought it. And there's the difference. Here's an example. When you look at how the characters in A Quiet Place were handling their kids and the situation. Now, I'm not saying it was totally bogus. I'm just saying it's the nuances and the subtleties that, I'm paying attention to. When you look at how that was handled at the beginning of A Quiet Place, and then you look at how Sandra Bullock's character is handling her children, right? I know one's not really her kid, but how she's handling her children. And she's saying things like, keep the blindfold on. Don't take the blindfold off. Don't come looking for me. I'm telling you, stay where you are. That's how maybe she was, a little too harsh on her kids, over the 5 years that they've been around. Obviously, that's sort of a thing that they touch on towards the end. But if you were actually in that situation, you would be so adamant about that to your children because you wouldn't want anything to happen to them. You'd be saying, come over here, you stay here, put this on, don't take that. If this was actually going down, you would be doing that. So that's an example of I totally bought what Bird Box was selling. I bought the performances. I bought the decisions that the characters were making. There wasn't anything that seemed like you wouldn't do that. You would not do that. I know why you're doing that because there's a big scene coming up where you gotta... Whereas A Quiet Place, it's not like it was happening all the time. It's just that there was much more of that. There were a lot of decisions that the characters made that I felt they were only making to set up the scene that was about to happen. And I wasn't buying it. Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. Did you guys like A Quiet Place? Did you guys like Bird Box? Did you guys not like A Quiet Place? Maybe you didn't even like Bird Box. Comment below and let me know. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time when I'm not posting here. Link is in the description as well as all my other links. You can check them out. So yeah, those are my sort of first initial thoughts immediately following those two movies. So I just thought I would get them out there in the ether and see what you guys thought. Yeah, oh well. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.